Well, hello class, this is Mr. Ewing and I just wanted to come to you with a tips video that can help you address some common mistakes that beginning writers make. And so we're going to be going over these. It's not exhaustive, it's not every mistake, but it's some mistakes that I've seen over the years, and hopefully this will help you out. So let's take a look at these. So the first one that I wanted to address is when do you use who and when do you use whom? A lot of beginning writers believe that who is regular language and whom is more formal. So if we want to ask something more formal, we would use whom rather than who. That's not actually true. What you need to do when you look at this, and this is a pretty standard rule, and it'll help you out most of the time that you're trying to differentiate between who and whom. Really, it's in how can you answer the question. Do you answer the question with he or she? Or do you answer the question with him or her? And so let's think about the beginning of a letter that you're going to address. And you're going to say, to whom it may concern. Well, whom may it concern? Well, it may concern him and it may concern her. So because you can answer the question with him or her, whom would be the proper word to use. Now with who, you could say, who is in charge of feeding the dog? And so you can say, well, he is in charge of feeding the dog, or she is in charge of feeding the dog. So when you're trying to determine between who and whom, one of the easiest ways is just asking the question. Are you going to answer the question with he or she, or are you going to answer the question with him or her? All right, so the next one that students commonly confuse is the then and than. Okay, so let's address these two here. They both function very, very differently within the context of your writing, and they, again, will be addressing something very specific. Then always addresses time. So it would be this happened, then that happened. And so you see a time order there. Then doesn't do that. Then does not address time. I forgot to put an arrow there. Let's put an arrow there. Then addresses something else. Then is always comparative. Okay, and so then we'll compare two different things. So you can say, I am taller than she is. And so you wouldn't say I am taller than she is, because then refers to time order. So remember, then refers to this happened, then that happened. So it's a sequence of time order, and then refers to something comparing. Now don't fall into the mistake of believing that then is numerical and that then is comparative, because you'll then get confused and say, well, I have less than they do. That's not true. You'd say I have less than they do, because it's comparing what you have with what they have. It's not a time order. So then always refers to a time order. Then is always comparative in nature. The next one I want to talk about is utilizing someone's name and I. So in this case, I have a guy named Tom. So is it Tom and I, or is it Tom and me? Many beginning students will believe that it's always Tom and I. That is not true. It depends on where it is in the sentence and how it functions in the sentence. And even though this stuff down here might be a little bit confusing, I'll give you guys a steadfast way to figure out which one it is. And so Tom and I will always be the subject of the sentence. So in the example, Tom and I went to the store. Well, who went to the store? Tom and I did. And so it functions as the subject of the sentence. When you're using Tom and me, you'll often refer to Tom, you always refer to Tom and me in the context of a prepositional phrase, and therefore Tom and me becomes the object of the preposition. So you have the object here. So you can say like, we went to the baseball game and one of the players gave a ball to Tom and me. It's to Tom and me. To is the preposition. Tom and me are the objects of the preposition. But here's a very, very simple and easy rule for you guys just to be able to memorize, to know which one you're going to use or get rid of. So all you have to do is cover up the Tom and go, am I going to say I there, or am I going to say me there? Would I say me went to the store, or would I say I went to the store? You'd say I went to the store. In the second sentence, we went to the baseball game and the baseball player gave a ball to I, or gave a ball to me. Which one is it? Well, he gave a ball to me. therefore, in that case, it would be Tom and me. So if you can eliminate the person's name and the word and you're only left with this word, figure out then which one makes it more sense. Is it I or is it me? So that's a really easy way to clarify which one of these you're going to use in your sentence. The next one I want to look at is when do you use a in a sentence and when do you use and? Both of these are considered articles along with the word the. That's pretty easy, but sometimes there's confusion between a and. When do I use a and when do I use and? So a steadfast rule is that if the following word after the word that you're trying to use, be it a or and, if the following word, the word that's after it, is a consonant sound, you will use the word a. If it's a vowel sound, you will use the word and. And so it's important to understand that it's not what the next word necessarily is spelled with, it's what the sound makes. And there's a couple of weird ones. For instance, the word history. History actually makes a vowel sound, so you would say an history. Sounds a little bit weird. You might want to say a history, but an history is actually grammatically correct. You wouldn't get docked on my papers for that. But just look at the word that follows and go, if it follows with a consonant sound, I'm going to use the word a. If it follows with a vowel sound, I'm going to use and. All right, guys, the next one I want to look at is the difference between there, and there. This can be really confusing for beginning writers, and so I just want to make sure I clarify there, and there. So if there is a location, over there, it's going to be T-H-E-R-E. That it refers to a location. If it's possession, it's going to be T-H-E-I-R. So for instance, that is their truck. So they own the truck, they possess the truck. And so it is a case of possession. That would be T-H-E-I-R. And so T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E is a contraction that's a shortened version of they are. So if you could say they are going to the store, then the there that you'd want to use in that situation would be T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. And so remember, T-H-E-R-E is location, T-H-E-I-R is possession, and T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E is they are as a contraction. Well, I hope that helped you guys in your writing. Utilizing those different words and just asking yourself the question as to which one am I going to be using based upon how it's functioning. So next week I'm going to try to make a video that looks at independent and dependent clauses. And so as we look at those clauses, we're going to determine how do you combine these together, what are the rules that go along with those. We're going to address starting a sentence with because. Many of your teachers in high school may have told you you can't start a sentence with because. That is not true, and I'll show you why. Utilizing because as the beginning phrase of a dependent clause, and how you have to have an independent clause on the back end of it. So I look forward to that next week, and look forward to what you guys are going to have to write for me this week.